Okay, everyone. Hello and welcome to today's town hall. As always, we are recording and live streaming today's session. So, if you have any trouble with Zoom at any point, you can watch along on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/at hospitable. We're going to start with some company and product updates today before we move into some Q&A. If you do have questions throughout the session, please try and keep to typing them in the Q&A function, which you should be able to find at the bottom of your screen. If you put your questions in the chat, we can't promise we'll be able to get to them. It's difficult to see and respond to them, so please stick to the Q&A if you want your question to be answered. The team will try and respond to all of the questions and feedback during the session, but sometimes we may take it offline and ask you to ping us a support ticket or follow up on an existing support ticket with you. So we've got lots to get through today, so I'm going to ping up our brief disclaimer and then I'm going to hand it over to PC, who has some team introductions to do for us. Pierre, handing over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Miles. Hello, everybody. Indeed, we have to start with a few introductions that are a little bit overdue. It's not been the trauma-inducing introduction on the third day for those people. But yeah, I'm going to call Marina first, who is joining us as a senior product manager, calling the shots for connectivity. Marina, time to be introducing yourself. So that's video on and mic on too.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marina. I'm based in Brazil. I'm super excited to join Hospitable on the connectivity team as a senior product manager. I think it's very exciting to join with like this mission of helping you, optimize your listings and help distribute them to like many booking channels. I was a host myself for 3 years, so I know how difficult it can be. And I really love my time hosting. It was a lot of fun. So, yeah, really excited to be here.
Now, there's going to be a lot of updates coming from you in upcoming weeks, and definitely always continuously. So thank you, Marina. We're going to hear a lot from what you have to do later as well. Second, I have another host coming up, Tony, who is on. Yes, he did it. Tony, say a few words about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tony. I'm based out of Ohio. I'm really excited to be joining Hospitable. I'll be in the sales team. I'm also a host and a co-host. So I've been a user of Hospitable for about 4 years now. Love the product, made my life a lot easier. So I'm super pumped to be on the inside now, helping you out as host as well.
And yeah, for many people that basically are applying for a job and are basically staying tuned with Hospitable, Tony basically has been able to go also on the other side as well. So that's always a fantastic story to be hearing. Thank you, Tony. Good luck on your job. Now we have some people that don't yet have an avatar. We have Jake, that's coming from the city of Poole in England. Go ahead, say a few words.
Hello, hi everyone. I'm Jake, so I'm joining as a product engineer on the core team. I currently am living in a place called Poole in the UK, which is just on the south coast. Lots of beach, which is very nice. So I've not been a host, but I'm still really excited to work on some awesome features and try and gift some of you guys back your time. So thank you.
And you are on your second week, right? So you're still doing the onboarding. Are you excited about the product test yet?
Yeah. Second week, still onboarding. Nervous for the product test, but excited to give it a
You
go.
should be. That's an appropriate amount. The next one is adding a new country to our list. Thank you, Jake. It's Aaron. Now, Aaron, it's about 4 a.m. in the morning where he's living in, which is out of Dunedin, New Zealand. He's a Kiwi. Joining our team is be joining this kind of hybrid role between customer support and engineering. And that means basically making sure that our support could be more efficient while doing I would say, the migration work from the customer support team to present that to engineers. And last but not least, we have a entirely new function in the company, finally, with Euroby, who is joining the company as a group financial controller. Euroby, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Yurubi. I'm based in Tallinn. I have joined Hospitable as the group financial controller, which means I get to streamline our finance processes, make sure everything is running as smoothly as possible so that the rest of the business can focus on what truly matters. That's helping our customers host with confidence. I'm really, really excited and glad to be here.
And we are really, really excited for you to be here too. There's a lot of work in front of Euroby, and actually we're going to talk a little bit more about our own roadmap a little bit later in this conversation. Now, to provide you with a bit of an update, we today have 111 people working full-time for the company. You can see here the breakdown. Marina is adding one role to the product team. We having sales roles that are now getting a bit more differentiated between account executive and sales development representative, like Chris and Tony, both hosts that have been joining our sales team directly. And yeah, we've added some new roles for customer success and onboarding teams. Our onboardings are particularly demanded and requested, and we're working hard to catch up on the demand so that we're able to offer you with a more streamlined onboarding experience where you can have a rapid rollout, a rapid refresh, faster rather than the current waiting time, because our people are working really hard to service everybody. And on top, yeah, so you can see a bit of a breakdown here between the frontline support and engineering. It's kind of always been a kind of tug of war for the past few years about basically who is having more people, but they're obviously pretty interconnected. Now, the meat of this town hall presentation, and I'm sorry to say, you're going to hear a lot more about me. I'm going to do my best to speak a little bit slowly, but unfortunately, I will not be able to erase my accent. This one is going to be very different. You will still have the product updates at the end, and I'm sure you will be looking forward to them in a few minutes. Today, we wanted to take a little bit of a moment to reiterate something that we don't always get to talk about, which is fundamentally a little bit more about our values, about our industry, about our company, and how we would like you to be on that journey with you. Now, that may be your first town hall. If that's the case, what a first to pick. And that's a good occasion to introduce myself. I'm PC, my legal name is Pierre-Camille Amana. I have a French accent, and I'm the founder and CEO of Hospitable. I've started working on Hospitable in 2016 after hosting nearly 500 reservations myself back-to-back where I live, which is in Brussels. Hospitable, as it is called now, is actually a byproduct of inappropriately heavy Red Bull consumption and a strict diet of the cheapest instant noodles money can buy, 20 cents bottom shelf, darkest alley of the cheapest Asian supermarket in the neighborhood for a full 18 months before I could buy myself some proper food. And the picture of the instant noodle is still trauma-inducing. So we'll be moving on to Happier Memory, which is a launch of Smart B&B, as it was called back then. It was launched on this forum that some of you may know about or remember. I'm not showing up on this forum these past few years. I've been busy, but that's the post that launched Hospitable. It was just an automated messaging product. There was no calendar. There was not even an inbox. Not even an inbox on the messaging product, guys. That's the wake-up call. Hospitable had very humble beginnings, just like a lot of products in this space. Fast forward to 3,371 days later, we are now a team of 111 people. That's what I was sharing earlier, all remote, all distributed across 31 countries, servicing together 18,000 customers. And I kind of want to take a bit of a moment to pause because I don't want to be called a liar. But yeah, it's actually not exactly 18,000, but that's going to be coming up at the end of this tunnel, I'm sure. 17,998, all active that are paying us today. Themselves are distributed across 111 countries. What's humbling every time that we do this calculation is the economic impact that our team is having. Last year, we calculated that all Hospitable hosts together would be making a combined $4.2 billion. You guys are now on track to generate $5 billion in payouts across all platforms. So yay you. yeah, you. Now, it's really difficult to not talk about Hospitable and talk about myself. The topic is not really about the host token, it's about cultivating our own difference and our own difference as a company. In an industry where even today, we appreciate that differentiation is quickly losing out. Mostly all the alternative products to Hospitable were created around the same time, and nearly all of them have now exited. You can see here on that slide some of the property management software you may know about. Together, they've raised around $1 billion, but most of those transactions, especially coming from private equity firms, are really about purchasing the founding team shares. Their CEOs may still be running the companies they have created, but they are no longer calling the shot. They may still be the best people to run them. And in the case of some companies, they've been exited based on poor financial results. And they may still be on the board, but they no longer have voting rights, and one day they too will be leaving the company. Even yesterday, we've heard about Blue Star leading an investment into Hospitable. Now, I read those press releases with a bit of a translator, which means it's really an acquisition. That private equity fund is already the owner of Travel Nest, which is Track. Now, they don't have plans to be combining Hospitable and Track together, just like Inhabit, another conglomerate, did not have plans to combine LavRez, LMPM, and Streamline together, but that will happen anyway. So, because it's timely, congrats to the Hospitable team on their exit, best of luck for their earnouts. But you can see that in a universe of private equity-owned companies, what is Hospitable standing in? If all the other companies are PE-backed, that makes really Hospitable a PC-backed company. I hope you like the joke, but our team really likes it. As it stands today, I can call myself the owner of Hospitable, and I don't think there are a lot of people in the world that can call themselves the owner of a property management software. This is the cap table. This is the equity distribution today. Nick and I basically have together almost 96% of the company, and the other investor, the other shareholder is really accelerator that I used when starting. Now, this is not interesting. I am not here to brag. None of this really matter particularly to you, except what should you really care about those things? This matters to you as a customer and even being an actor in this industry. Private equity firms are not entrepreneurs. They acquire majority stakes. They fully own companies that are successful. As the revenue goes up, the risk goes down. Now they can work on their expertise, which is to develop the value, maximize the value of their initial investment. That means typically cutting what works well and cutting what does not. That means improving the financial reporting and the financial engineering to prepare for the next transaction. But they have a view to resell within the next 5 to 7 years. And we have several stories of funds that have been shaping companies and then reselling and exiting. The story of Inhabit is something that's particularly surprising to me. The story of Track is surprising to me in that the same funds have been investing multiple times in the same industry, even with competing products. So what you see here, for example, with Blue Star, is not even Blue Star's playbook. What it means is that those private equity companies-led companies are not innovating in the industry. They squeeze the juice, whereas the founder-led business works differently. I wake up every morning wondering how big could this be, how hard could this be, and I want to commit our business to take a little bit more risk every day, building up on our previous successes. Some of those things are successful, some we learn from, but we believe we are forced to innovate. And this year, we have been launching a lot of new features. It was hard to catch up to. That's why we paused the rhythm and the pace of how we communicate about those, but they're still happening behind the scenes. But really, the biggest launch for me this year are dynamic pricing, which is included in the product at no extra cost. I can assure there's not a private equity-run company in the world that would do that. And recently, our most recent marketplace for service providers, starting with cleaning services, which is a foundation we're going to build upon and expand. Now, back to Hospitable. As I've said before, I can call myself the owner, but I don't really care. I want the economic impact of Hospitable to be as evenly distributed across the entire community that is making Hospitable possible and successful. I want Hospitable to be community owned in the sense that its teams, its hosts are benefiting not just from consuming the product, but from the outcomes of Hospitable as a company. Why the hell would we do that? We want to be the most innovative company in the space. This is why, as a team, we're waking up every morning to work. It's something that we just really, I feel, we're just starting to demonstrate. And we have no plan to stop anytime soon. As we do this, we increase our community impact, a positive community impact. We're able to solve more problems for more people and impacting more people in better ways every day. That should make us more successful. That generates more interest into investing in our company. Now, every time that there is an investment interest, we have to pick a choice. We have to make a choice. We can adopt the traditional venture capital or private equity firm round, but at some point, it has a high chance of deriving into an asset preservation mode, which is no longer taking those entrepreneurial risks that we believe somebody in the industry has to pursue. If we're allowing those investments from our customer base instead, we are fixing a problem of alignment on building long-term sustainable value to the people that are using them most, and therefore are the most qualified to be assessing the value of the service that we provide, and therefore the value of the company as a whole. And we have something really powerful in the case of Hospitable. Every single one of our customers is an investor at heart. We're not going to take you as low-level cleaning people. You are real estate investors. We want to turn you into a real estate mogul if you give us that chance. And that forces us into being more innovative. Now, all of that is very visionary talk and very aspirational, but it's also the beginning of the reality of Hospitable today. We have what I'm going to call now a 10% community float. If Hospitable was being sold today, 10% of the proceeds of the sale will be distributed to our community. That's not enough to make it that community owned, but that's a start. What it means is that since the launch of our community fundraising back in 2021, we've raised $1.4 million from our investors. That's two different groups of people now. You have 89 investors that have been investing money into Hospitable with a check size that starts at $2,500. This is not your Series A fundraising with $30 million check. It's a modest democratic size for the people that can qualify for it. Those investors are more diverse than a lot of startups would ever have the chance to have, because our investors are located across 32 countries, and the largest investor is based in New Zealand. Totally unrelated with Aaron that started a few days ago. That other largest investor is named Barry. I've never talked to him. I've never met him face to face. Not a pitch, not an email. He performed those investments in his own right for several hundreds of thousands of dollars. The second group of people that you can find in this community are the members of the team. Those are the people that are working for Hospitable that are receiving some stock-based compensation. To date, that's an additional 81 people, although frankly, our HR person, Denise, has been working quite a bit today and yesterday to add more people on it. So even I believe that the number may be not most up to date. All of this is formalized under a token. That's our host token. Yes, that is an on-chain token, but no, it's not about crypto at all. And the exposure of a company to crypto is 0. Turns out, if you want to do some long-term investments with potentially thousands of investors, it's not the best way to do it on Excel. Yes, you can do it, but over 10 years, let's say, that file will be lost, there will be a mistake, you cannot quite audit all transactions in the way that you would like. Blockchain is a perfect use case for this because it gives us a ledger of all investment transactions for potentially thousands of investors on a long-term duration, and nobody has an edit button. Since the launch, at a launch price of $5, which is this little roof that you see here at the bottom, this little, bottom, the token has increased in value now to just $8.29. And I believe that by the end of the day, it's actually going to be increasing because we're waiting for another investment, reflecting exclusively the investment interest into Hospitable. Now, the reality is that our business has been growing much faster. Now, let's talk about our business. We have a crazy business model. We're building the product at our own cost, which is a revolutionary idea. That means we don't need the outside money to be building the product our customers want. Then, again, another innovation, we sell it to our customers. And we are doing all those things while trying to extract a profit out of it. That allows us to maybe build another product at our own cost later. Is this familiar? Does that ring a bell? Is this sounding familiar to you? Is there a chance that maybe, just maybe, this is more aligned with the experience of our own customers than pretending dumping hundreds of millions of dollars into money-losing businesses? The VC model would obviously be quite different. You would build a product at someone else's expense to the point where you barely care whether that generates any revenue, because the one thing the team is accountable to is growth. We can't do that. We cannot operate like this. We have to deliver value, yes, and we have to capture some in a very efficient way. That's our DNA at core. And now a little bit of something different. By the way, talking about profit, we're cutting some of ours and we're passing them to you. You may have heard in the past some initiatives about annual deals. Now they can exist directly in our own product. I invite you to check it out if you are a customer under the Host, Pro, or Mogul plan. Stay tuned if you're Legacy. We have a plan for you too. Now, we've been collecting the feedback during the summer, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. And now we have basically been consolidating that feedback into something that works with a payment by card. That was our #1 request, and a smaller discount that we offer on payment by bank transfers for sales-led deals. But I think that's okay. We didn't have particular demands about the discount. If you contemplate staying with us for the next year, if you've been with us for years, maybe up to 9 years now, you can start having some savings by subscribing to our annual plan with 12% off. And you will be able to pay that by card immediately and on the spot. No back and forth, no showing up at your bank branch, and no complicated ACH transfer thingy or wires, which we realized was not exactly a great thing to be asking American people. Now, this is how annual plans are going to be working, and how they're working now in our product. First, you get to decide how many properties you're willing to prepay, and in exchange, we will offer you a discount. Let's say you have 15 properties, but you know for a fact that you will always have 10. You can commit to 10 properties today, and those 10 properties are going to be discounted at 12%. You choose. Then you pay. Instead of paying by bank transfer, that's going to be a payment by credit card immediately. Next, you benefit from just 1 invoice instead of 12. If you have fewer invoices, you have happier accountants, and that ultimately is 1 email that you don't have to exchange with them. Good. Sorry, Europe. Now, wait. This entire business is changing all the time, and for our most successful property managers, the number will go way up. It may also, what happens if it goes way down? Well, of course it will. Change is really a very important part of this industry. Let's talk about the happy scenario. You have more properties that you anticipated. Congratulations, you're growing. That means those extra properties are going to be charged on a monthly billing cycle as they are today, at the price that they have today. They're not going to be benefiting from the discount. If that is a number that you expect will be your new baseline, you can now go ahead and add properties that you're committing to during the year. So you can, within the year, adjust the number, increase the number of properties. You will have a prorated invoice, prepay them at a discount. What about the other scenario where your property management company, a customer leaves? Now you thought you would have 10 properties, now you have 8. That happens. You have our commitment that every dollar that you pay is going to be a dollar serviced by Hospitable. If you have fewer properties than anticipated, you actually will be receiving a credit note to match the difference. So professional plan, you will have two properties that are lower than anticipated. They are at retail at $15. You're going to have 15% discount. So basically, you're receiving, I'm doing the math right now, so that basically I'm not messing it up. So you receive $12.75 per property. So you receive a credit note of $25.5. You receive a credit note matching the difference for the 2 properties that you didn't get to use within that billing cycle. And those credit notes will be used later against future Hospitable payments. And even if there are no payments, we'll then use those in your renewal. So you will have less to pay later. We were talking about private equity companies. I don't believe that you would have this kind of deal with private equity dealt companies, because if you have the money, this is committed, you are never going to get that money back. So this is a way where you can take advantage of it and generate some savings with some commitment on a longer term, but still with the flexibility to still generate savings down the road as you grow. Now, that deal is only available for Host, Pro, and Mogul plan users. What happens if you're on Legacy? 30% of our users have already switched, and we cannot really make an annual deal for Legacy customers because there is this tiered pricing that is really getting in the way, that the 10th property doesn't have the same price as the 5th or the 30th. So we cannot offer any kind of prepayment, or if we were to offer that, that would be taking way too long in the development cycle. So there has never been a better time to switch to one of the new tiers, Host, Pro, or Mogul. And under the new tiers, just a reminder that add-ons like Direct Premium, Direct Basic, or Smart Devices are already included. So you can generate some savings about the amount compared with the amount that you have today. And while you benefit from the extra 12% if you commit to an annual plan, you can also benefit from the multiple new features that we've released recently that are available to the Host, Pro, and Mogul tiers, which is no add-ons for direct bookings, dynamic pricing, including in the cost, with more features, for example, Inbox AI, issue alerts, that are now released on different plans. And if you are a property manager, you can have Hospitable generate your owner statements and integrate with your QuickBooks as well with owner's portal that we're going to hear about a little bit later. That was a note on our business. What about the rest of it? If you're fundraising, if you want to invest in a company, you need to have a few numbers. That's what Eurobe is going to work on progressively. What I can tell you today with maximum confidence, we are a company running at a $22 million annual rate. That means that if we stop growing, we would be generating $22 million in sales within the next 12 months. And that's where our company has been growing 46% since the beginning of the year 2025. And we're on track to continually grow because it's actually faster now. We have been operating at 75% plus gross profit margin. That means we're making money on every customer, as our profitability shows, but we have good unit economics. That means we can invest more money into the relationship with our customers. That includes, for example, dynamic pricing. Now, there are a few things that I want to talk about what's coming from the Host token. First, if that's your first time hearing about it, I want to tell you how to become a Hospitable investor and what to be expecting. Second, Petra will talk to you about a new initiative that will allow you to earn host tokens. And then we need to talk about the valuation, which is a topic that pretty much got in the way of the launch of the host token back in 2021 and now need to be adjusted. First, who can invest? It's not the Far West. This is actually a regulated private offering that is filed with the SEC. You can show up on Edgar, you can see on Edgar and see the information that's been filed. We have to follow some rules to ensure that we're compliant and that initiative that's a little bit exotic doesn't blow back in our face. First thing is that if you are a US resident, we need to be able to verify that you are an accredited investor. That means you have a certain threshold of income or assets. If you want to qualify by way of income, you need to demonstrate that you have more than $200,000 a year filing single, $300,000 a year filing jointly. That's the baseline. I don't know if that changed recently, I believe not. And an expectation that you will continue to do so. And depending on your structure, your short-term rental income will actually be able to count towards your income threshold as well. So maybe you can qualify with income. You may also be able to qualify by assets. In that case, you need to demonstrate that you have more than $1 million in assets outside of your primary home. That includes your investments. That includes also the value of your investment properties, like short-term rental properties. And now, if you're outside of the United States, you don't need to provide the evidence to us of any kind of accreditation, but it's probably a good idea to check with your own local laws. Here, it's more of a jurisdictional problem. It's not going to be a matter for the SEC to be enforcing laws outside of the United States. It's a US regulated offering. Once you qualify, and even if you don't qualify, just for curiosity, you can go to invest.hospitable.com. When you sign up, there will be a quick ID verification and anti-money laundering check. This is actually pretty standard in this industry. I may be on the other side verifying the information that you provided, and to be able to invest, if you are residing in the US, you will need to upload a letter for this accredited investor verification. As I wrote on the last slide, I recommend using accredited.am, which I found is fastest, cheapest, and most common service to make sure that you have an accredited investor verification letter. It takes a little bit of time. You need to submit some financial information. And if you qualify, I have a letter. That means I fulfilled my obligation. On the site invest.hospitable.com, you are able to see the live price of the token. You can access the purchase agreement. You can access the deal terms in the most recent shape that they have, which is as a result of the last rolling safe investment. So the valuation, the token price, the total amount that has been raised. If you want to sign an investment, you can fill in the value here, click continue. There will be a contract that I will invite you to review and pay attention to. You can initiate a bank transfer. There's actually I'm not sure there's even an option now to be performing a crypto transfer with USDC. So it's all off chain. It's a simple bank transfer. And as soon as the funds are received, I'll be matching your investment and issuing the host tokens. They will be tied to your wallet. They will be auditable for anyone to see that there's been some activity. Obviously, this is anonymous to anybody else outside, but this is totally auditable for us to be checking who has received what and when as a result of which action. Now, what to be expecting? You will have some short-term benefits. You will have VIP priority support, and you will have an invite on Slack, and we're going to be resuming the monthly investor updates. Now that Euroby is our first finance hire, we want to be writing investor updates that are good, accurate, and timely. At the same time, there's still a little bit of time to make that happen, but I commit to basically restoring them myself. There is a longer term benefit, which is that if Hospitable is acquired, then you collect your investor share of the proceeds. You perform an investment. It's not a token of gratitude. It's a true investment that we expect will be converting to cash in your bank account sometime soon. And that may be a private equity, that may be an exit. Hey, it would be good to make money off your PMS, no? Now, what if that's not true? What if Hospitable is not acquired? That's where we talk a little bit about exit strategy. I don't wake up thinking about an exit strategy. The host token allows us one more option for liquidity than any other company in the space, which is opening a secondary market trading on the host token. Basically, when you launch a company that is successful and you start going into stock-based compensation, it's actually a good idea to think about liquidity for the team that's receiving those stock-based compensation. It's a struggle for a lot of private companies that are staying private longer to offer that liquidity to their teams. It seems like most often the plan is to be a very wealthy 80-year-old, whereas the moment when you need the money is actually probably in your 30s and your 40s. It's a bit of a problem. As we're continuing to grow, there is the possibility that we allow trading tokens. That means trading tokens from investors to the general public. That means also for the people in our team that are receiving this as part of their token compensation to be selling part or whole of their token grants to the market. And that's where I would love to see a chart here, but the idea is extremely powerful that you have a team of people that are working hard to make sure that Hospitable is the best, most innovative product in the space that are going to be selling their stock-based compensation. And who is the buyer on the other side? That's our own customers. And I think I don't need to be in those conversations. I don't need to be in the calls to know that there's going to be some sense of alignment between the team that's working for the customers and the customers that are benefiting from the work of that team to basically make sure that you need to deliver value to your customers because those are the people that may have collectively together have a meaningful impact in giving value to those host tokens in the first place. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy of alignment, and I don't think you have a better way to align the outcomes of Hospitable with the performance of the work of the team. It's also, unlike an acquisition, is something that is exclusively dependent on the performance of our company. At some point, we can just trigger this. Now, we're going to launch new things, and that's where Petra is coming in.
Thank you, PC. So together hosts who are already investors or are just about to become our investors, we're going to open a new group in the community for you, Hospitable investors. It's going to be private group. That means access will be only invite only or by requesting the access. And we're going to open it tomorrow. I send the link where in the community you can find groups. It is in the top menu. You're going to find it on top. So it's going to appear there tomorrow. For investors who are in the community, they already have investor badges, and tomorrow that badge is going to give them entrance to the group. And whoever is going to be joining in the future, feel free to request it if I'm not faster than you are and add you in the group before you request it. But just so you know, it's going to be a place for you to be together in a one sub community. And another great thing that we're preparing for you is that we want to reward community hosts who are going above and beyond and helping the other community hosts. So what we're going to do, we're going to reward you with $1,000 monthly in host. It's going to be distributed among the top 10 hosts. It's going to be rolled out in 2 phases. So phase 1 is going to be based on community leaderboard. You might have seen it in the community as well. It's built based on replies, posts, your answers marked as the best answers, a number of likes given, a number of likes received. And for now, we haven't been really rewarding it, but we want to change that. But the second phase that would roll out beginning of next year would be not only taking those points into consideration, but also extra contribution from things like mentoring, supporting community in different ways, organizing hospitable events, leading local chapters and similar. So we're gonna start simple next month, and then with the next year, we're gonna make it bigger and make sure that whoever is contributed in a meaningful way, that it can be rewarded from our end. Thank you.
Next, we talk about the valuation. This is probably the most disappointing slide I ever had to commit. We are now a $22 million a year business, and you can invest today with no objection from my part or anybody at a $41 million valuation. You don't have this kind of deal ever existing for a very good reason. This valuation is exclusively a function of the investment interest. The more investments, the higher the valuation. It's a good process to have that valuation based on an algorithm. But it is, however, disconnected from the reality of the business, and it's starting to have a bit of a perverse impact. Because if you're seeing right now that you're investing into a business like this at this valuation, you think that there's a pretty big catch, something that you miss. And there is no catch. We just let it run organically. We even said last year that we wanted to increase the valuation. We just were busy and moved on to other things that were working on the business instead. That's going to change starting from October, and we are going to progressively upgrade the valuation to what we believe is still going to be a discounted rate compared with the reality of the business as it is today, but further as it will be by the end of those adjustments in April 2026. Starting from October, the value of the token will progressively increase to be catching up to the reality of the business. We will target an valuation of $250 million as a company that will end in April 2026 after all those adjustments have occurred. It still is a lower range of the real market valuation of Hospitable today. You would not be buying Hospitable for $250 million. Based on our growth, based on our efficiency, based on our profitability, I have every right to push back and claim for higher. The host token will always be discounted because it's a bit of more of an exotic instrument. I get that part, but it still will represent a significantly discounted price compared with the reality of the value of Hospitable. And as we keep on growing as a business, we will reserve the right to continually increase the token moving forward. The idea is that the valuation of those tokens should follow and be aligned directionally with the growth of the business until the moment where it's basically able to fly on its own. That does mean that the same token that you can purchase right now at $829 will be mechanically augmented and increased to $130 later, assuming the same supply and assuming the same equity allocation. It's not that the host token will be expensive, it's just that Hospitable is severely undervalued by the host token today. So everybody who is having an interest in investing in Hospitable can still do so at the best rate today. They can do so in a month later, it may be a little bit less, and over time, and even on April 2026, that will still be a discounted price to what Hospitable will be then, which is yet to build, yet to write, but we'll be there. Now, there is one more thing, and definitely that's an ongoing conversation that I'm having with people that are interested in investing, but cannot quite make it as an accredited investor. We want to make sure that the host token will be available to everybody that wants to be investing into our company. We're not happy about the fact that there are so many that would not be able to do so based on the restrictions tied to compliance that come with this private offering. As an objective, we want for the second half of the year 2026 to allow everyone to be investing in Hospitable. That means at this point, we'll be raising what's known as a crowdfunding campaign under a different regulation with the SEC without the condition of accreditation in the United States. Similar to what you have on Kickstarter or more WeFunder and other platforms, with the appropriate disclosure, documentation, prospectus required to be satisfying the regulation. For a business like us, it's going to take a little bit of work, but we would love to make it happen so that everybody that wants to be owning a share of the software that's responsible, that participates in the success of the short-term rental operation can still do so. That's the best protection you can have on making sure that Hospitable is aligned with your interest on working with an independent property management software that still has to work on, delivering you some value. There will be some later. So there is an investor handbook that's made available on the community website. You can click for it and access it directly on the hsptv.com/investor handbook. There are more answers to more questions, and I'm loving the fact that there is some idea around the chat for more questions coming up. And there will be an Ask Me Anything, an AMA, on the community website starting on October 2nd, 12 p.m. There is already the thread that's live on the community, so you can start asking your questions, and I'll be answering them by then. Meanwhile, we're going to go jump to the product updates, and I would love to hear more about your questions on the host token and anything on the product later in the Q&A. Thank you so very much. And I think I'm letting Nikita introduce you on one of our newest features.
Thank you, Vizi. So let's talk about the inbox. And chances are that you've got other team members helping you manage your Hospitable account, right? So far, there hasn't been a good way of grabbing their attention when required within the app itself, except for that single shared note field on every booking. Today, we're rolling out a new way to interact with your team directly in the Hospitable inbox. We want you to be able to communicate with your team on pertinent items without having to leave Hospitable to do so. So where it makes most sense. Every team member can leave their own notes that appear in the conversation timeline. And as you might expect, you can tag specific people directly. Just type the @ symbol, select their name, and when the note is sent, they'll receive a push notification and see the fact that they've been mentioned when viewing the inbox. The number of mentions is unique to them, and the conversation is marked as unread uniquely for them specifically. And as an added bonus, you can choose to automatically have an AI summary of the conversation so far generated alongside the note so that the team members that you mention can catch up quickly. This is available right now for Host, Pro, and mobile customers that have beta features enabled. If you're not sure if you have beta features turned on, you can enable this option in your general settings in the app. This gives you access to the newest features in the app that we're piloting with a larger portion of our Hospitable customer base. So this has been a long time coming, honestly. Please try this out. We'd love your feedback about this new inbox team notes feature. And with that, I'll pass it over to Abby.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, a couple quick updates for Direct. So this morning we released some updates to alterations. So now when you alter a direct reservation, we'll still automatically calculate the price difference, but now you'll have the opportunity to tweak it. So if you want to add another guest or add on a night and no additional fee, or you've worked out a special discount with a guest, you have full control over the pricing. Now, all alterations will create requests for your guest, so your guest is going to have to accept that price change in the guest portal, but you have full control over the price now. We are also starting to make some changes to cancellations, which should help make things a lot cleaner for you and your guest when your guest has to cancel their reservation. So the first thing we're going to do is when a guest cancels their reservation, your cleaning and linen fee is now going to be refunded according to your cancellation policy. So prior to this change, we refunded that in full always, as long as the guest canceled prior to check-in. And we're going to stop doing that. So it'll be refunded according to your cancellation policy. This is a change that we're making aligned to what Airbnb did earlier this year. So we're kind of following their lead there. The next thing we'll do is we're going to also give your guests and you a clear breakdown of the refund that is owed when a guest cancels, because there's been some confusion about how we determine that amount, especially when the guest is paid with payment terms and has an outstanding balance. And then from there, we're also going to offer you the option to give your guests a non-refundable a discount if they choose a non-refundable booking, like you can on Airbnb as well. And that's it for that part of Direct, but we do have a tax remittance update as we do on each town hall. So effective on October 1st, we're going to be adding a couple of new states in the US. So we'll be adding Kentucky, we'll have state sales tax and state transient room tax added. Virginia, we will start remitting state and local sales tax. And Wisconsin, we are going to start with state and county sales tax as well. So these are the states that we are adding for direct premium tax remittance. We're talking about the US on town hall, on pretty much every town hall, because this is where we're really focused on making that whole map pink. So that we can take the burden of tax filing and remittance off of your plate. But also wanted to mention that we do actually remit taxes in Australia too. So if you're one of our Australia direct premium users, we remit the short stay levy in Victoria State. So we've added Australia to the map here as well. And that's it for direct. I think Emily has an update for Mogul.
Thanks, Abby. Hey, everybody. All right, a couple of weeks ago, we released owner stays in Hospitable. That meant that if you're on the Mogul plan and you're a property manager and you want to add a stay for your owner, you could do that. Now we've gone one step further and we're allowing your owners to book their own stays from the owner portal. A couple of details to talk about. If you already have a portal configured and owners have been added to that before September 15th, we did not automatically enable this for you. We want you to explicitly do that because we've heard from some of you that you don't want to let your owners book stays. And so you can go in your portal settings now under your business and enable that if you'd like to do that. But for new portals created from this point forward, it will be automatically enabled. But of course, you can always change that. We have business level permissions that you can set, and you can also set specific permissions for one specific owner that overrides that if you have a special agreement with someone and you'd like to either allow or disallow stays for one of your owners. So if you'd like to explore this feature, maybe you're not on Mogul yet, you can scan that QR code or go to that link and take a little tour. I will also share a help article in the chat that walks through in a little bit more detail how to find this, how to set your permissions, and let your owners book their own stays. All right, I will pass off to Petra now for a few more community updates.
Amazing. So we have two new things in community. If you're looking to hire or if you want to offer your services, we have a group for that too. Head there. I'm sharing now the link. So please go there, and if you're looking for hire, make a post. And another thing we started last week, every week we're gonna create Feature Fridays. So we're gonna give you space to talk about features you want to most. That's place for you to promote it, to ask hosts to upvote it. So every Friday there is a new one, and I sent you a link for the previous one already in the chat. The other news we have, so we started our The Insider new event 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow we have a new one where we are having a partner edition with Arthur from StayFi. So here, if you follow the link, you're gonna see the conversation is already open, so you can ask Arthur questions, or you can show up tomorrow at 12 p.m. ET and ask him live because he's gonna be there answering. And as we mentioned, the next one, 2 weeks after tomorrow, is going to be PC. He's going to be also coming to community to answer your questions live. So mark those dates, or if you already have questions, you can go ahead and ask them. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much, Petra. Okay, I just got a few quick events to run through before we finalize this event. So next up, we have our online workshop next week, which is on hospitable dynamic pricing. So it's going to teach you on how to make the most of the latest features with the hospitable dynamic pricing. So if you're on Host Professional Mogul plan, dynamic pricing is actually included on your plan at no additional cost, and obviously brings in a lot of additional value with increased revenue. So join that session next week if you're already using the dynamic pricing feature, if you're currently using a third-party solution, or if you're not using dynamic pricing at all. There's going to be something for everyone to kind of learn a bit more about the feature there and understand how you can use it to improve your pricing. And of course, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time, same place, with our next town hall and our latest product updates. So scan those QR codes to get registered for those events and add them to your calendar. Then next up, we have a couple of in-person events. So this week we hosted our first in-person workshop with Derek, Brian, Chris, and a room full of hospitable customers in Orlando. And it's such a success that we're actually adding another date to our diary. So join us in person in Las Vegas for a hospitable account tune-up workshop. So that's going to be on October 12th. We'll help you set up and optimize your hospitable account for true SDR mastery. We will cover practical tips and guide you through all the essential features of your hospitable account. Plus, this is right before the Vacation Rental Management Association conference. So you can use HSPTB for $50 off your workshop ticket and code MEETMEINLV for $100 off your conference ticket. Seats are limited for our event, so make sure you grab your ticket early and make sure that you can join us. And then the final event that I'm going to call out is a Host and Toast event that we have happening a little over a month's time in the Gold Coast, Australia. If you live in the area, come out, network with Ethan and Marshall on our team, and network with other local short-term rental hosts. That's a free-to-attend event, and it's happening the evening of the opening night of Astra's Here to Stay conference. It's free, but with limited capacity, so please do scan the QR code and get registered if you would like to attend, so we can make sure that there's room for you. Okay, we're pretty much at time, but as usual, I just want to call out some of the usual links. If you missed anything, if you need to upvote a feature, if you need to get a support request, if you want to learn more about investing in Hospitable, we have plenty of links there to guide you. So yeah, I think we're pretty much almost at time. PC, I didn't know if you wanted to jump back on stage and say a couple more things before we wrap up.
I'm not going to talk a lot more. I think people have heard my voice enough, and I'm sorry. Basically, I took too long, but there was definitely a lot coming up. Yeah, it just basically the thing about the host token was just basically exposing that idea again. You can, meanwhile, generate some savings. Luckily, there is no accredited investor verification letter for verifying that. But yeah, basically my interest in making this company a bit more community owned definitely than anyone else is doing in this industry and modeling on many other archetypes of other companies. Right now it's about 10%. I would love to be expanding that. For that there needs to be some support from the market and investors doing it. So there are some initiatives that we're going to work on, and ideally if it's something that is of interest to customers in their own right, to be contributing and reaping out the rewards of a fantastic team. But yeah, there were plenty of there were quite some comments. There was one from Gary, which basically is about it's a crypto investment, it is a private sale, etc. Yes, it really depends on how you do it. There is no specific tokenomics, so to speak. It's really far more you sign a contract that's a safe. It's actually the standard as you would do for any other investment. It has some nuances, and I'm looking forward to explain that in the upcoming AMA. We use blockchain as a technology to keep track of the investments. That's what will be there. There is Nick, another question in the chat: at what level investments will be entitled for distributions? And so the distribution is basically happening when there is an acquisition from Hospitable, when there's liquidity for the company, or whenever there is some trading that is open on the company. So the company cash is facilitating those transactions, and it's something that the company needs to be quite strong to be doing this. But yeah, the idea is that that's something that depends from our own destiny. Sorry guys, if that's probably we're not at time. We're at time. But yeah, thank you everyone for showing up. And yeah, we'll be having a town hall 2 weeks from now that I think is going to get you excited, especially those people that believe we are now taking care of a core product. We have been working for the past few weeks on more features that really make us a true PMS, where you can manage and create your listings. So stay tuned, show up on the next town hall for more updates on that subject. Thank you so very much.